Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Caleb Robertson. This is the daytime broadcast of What Does the Bible Say? This is our school where we've been going through the Old Testament. You have not seen me in a while. I was in the month of December out on the road raising funds for the work that we're doing in Virginia, and so now I'm back and we're getting right back to it. And this is a little bit of information I had touched on before I left, and it's a little bit of information that Dad was covering while I was gone. And really, we're just going to make two really big points in the text today. 2 Kings 9 and 10, 2 Chronicles 22. One of the last things that I did was we did overview of Elisha, and the way that we said it was it kind of just seems like a handful of random miracles, but in these two sections we're going to get back on overlapping material because all that information about Elisha is not in Chronicles. But now we're about to get into information where it does start overlapping, which means you can look at Kings, you get a handful of pieces of information, you go over to Chronicles, and you might get additional pieces that kind of fill in some gaps. And that's how the books should be studied, rather than reading all the way through 1st and 2nd Kings and then rereading 1st and 2nd Chronicles. And if you say, well, I'm going to finish 2nd Kings and get 1st Chronicles, really you have to go all the way back to 2nd Samuel. See, you have to overlap, and I know y'all know that, but there are some people that might just be jumping in to the school broadcast, and so this is what we're really wanting to do. And I think some people don't really recognize 2 Kings 10, how close we are about chapter 15, how close we are to now. We're gonna begin studying prophets very, very soon. It won't take but just a little bit to get there. And so this is what we're trying to do. This is my contact info. My phone number is 276-806-3641. And my email address is calebgrobertson@gmail.com. If you email me, we'll put you on the Informer list, which is a page-and-a-half Bible article that comes out every Sunday morning. So email me at calebgrobertson and we'll get you on that. That's just another piece of edification that we're trying to offer to people. And then we always say, let people know about What Does the Bible Say on YouTube. Purple white banner, or you put in at Google YouTube Johnny Robertson. What does the Bible say? Purple white banner. That's my dad's picture. And then they'll have videos live. Those are two tabs that you need to remember. And then the playlist where everything is neatly organized. And the design of these classes is to help you better know your Bible. So it's not, the more and more that I talk with people, and we keep doing particularly the Bible classes, that Christians are acting like there's some type of special secret to what my dad and I do. And I have to say, it's reading. And I'm saying I talk to folk and they will just flat out say, I don't like to read. Well, this is what I say about myself. I didn't become a serious reader until I was 18. And even then it wasn't fantastic, right? And I told that to somebody recently. I said, I didn't become a serious reader until I was 18. And they, what? No. You probably were reading blah, blah, blah. They said, you're probably just, trying to not brag. No, I didn't start. And it's not like I was a teenager reading, teenage novels and whatnot. I didn't read anything. That just wasn't what I did. And I tell you, the thing that really got me serious was when I was 17, was when my dad had colon cancer. And so I started getting serious. But I started reading at age 18 is when I really started getting in. And then the next thing was when I went to school, when I went to preaching school my first year, I read a lot of non-required material. And the bulk of what I read while I was in preaching school was the debate books. There's a lot of stuff that I did not get taught at preaching school. And so for these guys who go into a 2-year program and they come out and they think that they just know so much, you really didn't learn that much in a 2-year period. I'm saying, I say that about myself, and a lot of what you get taught, you find out later, is just the particular teacher's opinions. Because, that's just how it is. So I'm wanting you to better know your Bible. And if you would know your biblical text as a whole, you would really start thinking better about God. And you'd start thinking better about your fellow man. I think that you would become more optimistic. I basically tell y'all that I call myself an optimist in training. I usually am a more pessimistic thinker, but I think that I am getting better, and I basically attribute that to studying Old Testament texts. If you don't read it, you're never going to know it, and there's just no secret to it. And it's not like this idea of we don't read these, know everything everything you need to know about the Bible in 90 minutes. Those books are junk. You need to be reading your Bible over and over and over, taking notes, revisiting your notes. We want you to be Bible students. Help you better know your Bible without moving across America. If you basically watch this broadcast and you end up saying, I do want to move to Virginia and be with those brethren, you need to be prepared to work. That's what's going on here is work. It is just, I don't know what some people think it's going to be. And I would say this too. There are some people that think we are a lot harder than we are. And it's like we're not blowing up on people. We're not raking folk over the coals. We're really, 2 Peter 3:18, we're trying to grow in grace and knowledge, 2 Peter 3:18. But if you're growing in grace and knowledge, then you're going to want to share it with somebody. And we're trying to prep Christians for evangelism. And you ought to be getting experience in your own backyard. There are sectarian meetings happening in your backyard that you could be attending. You could be door knocking, which is super cheap. It's personable, it's one-on-one, and you're getting experience all over the place. Now, as I say what you could be doing in your own backyard, this is what I want us to look at today. This is our big point, and we'll come back again in the end, and this is what I really want you to think about. Nobody's get the job done. Do you know what that means? You are waiting around for circumstances to become just right before you actually start doing something. That is total fantasy. You are waiting for the point where you feel like you know enough to start doing something. And, people who are serious students, they say consistently the thing that they learn the most is how much they didn't know back when. And you will probably, and I will probably just continue to say that about myself. There's just, what I'm learning is how much I didn't know, and that's what other people are saying. Serious students say that. Nobody's get the job done. Now, here's our first picture. You probably don't know who that is. And you say, well, this is a Bible class, so it's probably going to be a preacher. And you don't know who that is. Well, it's a Bible class, and he's bringing up a preacher. That's probably like that preacher's protege or something like that. No. Now, you might know who the first picture is. I wouldn't have known him by sight, but that's Dr. Oppenheimer. And you say, well, I still don't know who Dr. Oppenheimer is. Dr. Oppenheimer is basically called the father of the atomic bomb. And you say, so is this his protege and he helped him build the idea? No. This is what I mean by nobody's get the job done. There might be a handful of people who saw that picture and say, oh yeah, that's Dr. Oppenheimer. I wouldn't be one of them. But then I put up the next picture and I can't imagine that too many people are going to know who that is. I wouldn't know. And even when I throw his name up, I say, oh, it's Paul Tibbets. You still don't know who that is. He designs the bomb. He drops the bomb. Who gets remembered? Oppenheimer. Is he going to fly the plane? Probably not. No. Is he going to drop the bomb? He didn't. You have Oppenheimers who build bombs. You have Paul Tibbets who drops them. Now here's my thing. You watch this Bible class, and I'm glad that you do. I'm glad that I get a chance to prepare the material. But if you're not being motivated to get out there and do something, then there's a disconnect somewhere. And I'm going to tell you, the disconnect is not with me, because I come in here on a regular basis and tell you that you can do the job. You have a good brain. I'm saying God designed you to be a thinker. You just need a kick in the behind is what you need to get going. And people have just told you so often that you can't do it, that it can't be done, that so-and-so tried it once and it didn't work out. All these different ideas of negativity, and I'm telling you, nobody's are the individuals who are getting things accomplished inside of the Lord's church. Now, here's what I want you to think about. You're sitting in the pew, and I'm saying the people in the pew. You're sitting in the pew and you're saying, well, Caleb, I watch this broadcast and you talk about doing X, Y, Z, and you say, it's not like I'm the preacher. It's not like I can just do these things that you're talking about. And do you know what your preacher says? Your preacher probably watches this broadcast, maybe in secret, and your preacher is not thinking about you in the pew. He's listening to the information that gets brought up, and he says, well, what does Caleb want me to do? I'm just preaching in this local congregation. It's not like I'm out on the lectureship circuit. I'm not a big brotherhood politician. The big brotherhood politicians are accomplishing next to nothing. The big brotherhood politicians I don't know, I can't think of any right now who are doing serious local work. How could they? They're always on the road. They're always doing meetings for other people. They're always doing funds for their institution and whatnot. So you're saying, well, I'm not the preacher, and your preacher's saying, well, I'm not a brotherhood politician. So I'm asking, who is getting something done? Because here's what the brotherhood politician says, I can't do too much, because if I do too much, then a whole section of people are going to get mad at me, and then I'll be out of the job. The brotherhood politician has an excuse. The local preacher has an excuse. What's the elder's excuse? I don't know. And then the person in the pew has an excuse. And then you know what happens? Young men rise up. Really, I'm saying young men. They want to work, and they get hosed out by old heads, despising their youth, which is what 1 Timothy 4:12 says exactly not to do. At some point in time, you're going to read your Old Testament text and you're going to recognize these nobodies come up out of nowhere and they save the day. And so if you get nothing else out of today, and we're not even in the text yet, but if you get nothing else out of today, is you are a nobody who can really change the course that the church is on. You start voicing displeasure in the fact that we're not doing anything. Start voicing displeasure that 3-day meetings aren't long enough. Start voicing displeasure that, can I say this too? You guys, when you host your 3-day meeting, who do you bring in? You bring in, number one, preachers, politicians, brotherhood politicians, who they don't know